All right, good morning, everyone. I'm calling the Southborough Board of Health meeting to order on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 at 9 a.m. All board members are present, and first order of business is approval of the August 12th, 2025 minutes. Any comments or questions on those?
No, I'd missed a good part of it, but when I read it, it seemed everything was
Okay.
yeah.
Liz, you good?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so I move that we approve the August 12th, 2025 minutes as presented.
Okay, second and vote aye.
Bullock, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. Thank you. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because we have Michael Seeger here with us this morning. And so we're going to take number 4, food trucks. So Michael, do you want to, so the reason why we put this on the agenda is to make sure that everyone's aware of the process that we have in place that includes Michael doing food truck inspections, just so that we can get awareness out to the community. Because I think there's been some confusion on what is required to have a food truck.
Okay, fantastic. No problem at all. So a food truck, obviously, as we all can assume, is just a restaurant on wheels. So the majority of the rules and requirements are just right out of the food code. Your brick and mortar, say the Vin Bin, is going to have the same requirements for the most part as a food truck. It's going to be a few variations. So when a food truck wants to come to Southborough and serve food, the health department, myself, will do a pre-inspection of the truck. We're going to look at the truck, make sure it has everything it needs in terms of refrigeration, how it's cooking everything, look at their menu, verify, are they going to be using raw chicken? Is it just reheated chicken fingers? Or really get an understanding of their operation. This can be an empty truck or it can be full. We're just making sure they have a 3-compartment sink to wash dishes. They have a hand sink. Food trucks have their own water. So we want to make sure that they have a large enough tank to hold the water and they have a place to fill it. I'll address that in a second. So when we're looking at the truck, just making sure it has everything to operate a mobile restaurant in and of itself, making sure they have sanitizer, hand soap, and all the proper certifications and everything like that. That can be done a month before the event or a week before, sort of whatever works in their schedules. And then I make every effort to go to the event to make sure that they're serving properly while they're actively serving. So I verified that the coolers are working. Now we're going to verify that the food in the coolers is the right temperature, that they're wearing gloves, that they're properly cooking the food, they're handling the food. And that inspection is almost just like a restaurant. There are some trucks that I've seen before that have gone to summer nights every year that I deal with in other towns. So I may not always make a point to visit them, especially if it's off night. But if there's trucks I haven't seen before, certainly I'll make every effort to get there. There was one night at Summer Nights where I had prior plans. So Chris had gone over and done some inspections for me on trucks that we haven't seen before. The only other difference, or the biggest difference, I guess, between a food truck and a restaurant is where they make, prepare, and store their food. So every food truck is required to have it. The description varies: a base of operations, a commissary, something like that, which is a commercial restaurant, a permitted commercial restaurant with commercial equipment that they can make their food at and that they're required to store their food at. They can't make their food on Wednesday and leave it in their truck plugged in at their house until Saturday. They're not supposed to do that. Can we always verify that? Not necessarily, but that's the rule. So if you didn't know, in Boylston, there is actually a commissary called Woo Trucks. He has about 40 trucks that use his facility for a variety of things. So he has a kitchen, he has refrigeration, he has a variety of things that they'll use there. That's also where they can fill water. He has potable water supply that they can fill their water tanks. At the end of their event, they'll go back there and empty their tanks into the septic tank that they have there, just called their gray water, just like it's coming out of your dishwasher. And then they'll usually do their dishes there as well. He has a full three-compartment sink and all the chemicals and everything. So if they have an event, say on Summer Nights, which was on a Wednesday, theoretically, if they prep their food on Tuesday, they would leave it at the commissary. And then they'd go drive to the commissary that morning, pick it up, reheat it, cook it, depending on their menu. Some places like the potato truck, which is just French fries, for your Summer Nights, she buys her stuff at Restaurant Depot in the morning, throws it in her freezer, and then serves it at night. They're pretty good at throwing away most of their food because they don't do events Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry, if they have a weekend event, they're usually not serving food on Tuesday and Wednesday. So a lot of what they'll have left over, they throw away. So everyone who serves and owns a food truck has been a certified food protection manager. They've taken all their classes, all their allergen and all that stuff. The inspections are all the same, as I said, in terms of the expectations of how they handle food, how they cook food, how they prepare and serve. They're held to the same standard, if not higher, sometimes in terms of, being able to make sure they have fresh water and so forth. Woo trucks and other commissaries have some sort of a log that I could verify. So if that potato came to Summer Nights on a Wednesday, I could theoretically go onto Woo Truck's website and say, oh, good, that truck was here this morning and filled up with water. I said, oh, good, after the event, they stopped here and washed their dishes. We can't verify it necessarily before, but the systems are theoretically in place. It's hard to get everybody to follow those logs all the time, but I have a good relationship with the owner of Woo Truck, so I can ask him, was this truck here today? He would say yes. So I have a good relationship with them, and most of the trucks really understand what needs to be done. I think I threw a lot out there, but I think I covered everything. If anyone has any questions, please feel free.
Kind of nuanced, but do you want to just explain how the permitting works?
So they'll apply for the permit through Barbara. She'll let me know that they've applied. They will provide her with all of her their certificates, just like any other restaurant would. So it's sort of like an opening of a restaurant where a brand new place will give us their plans for a plan review. We ask some of the similar types of questions of the food truck. We'll have a check of the drawing, see what the food truck is. And then, as I said, as soon as I get that, I will schedule a pre-inspection. They'll drive out to here. If they're out of Marlboro, maybe I'll meet them in Marlboro. But for the most part, I'll meet them ahead of time, meet the owner or the people that are going to be serving that day, and verify the truck. There might be on occasion where the truck is coming from a far distance. So for our Applefest event this September, we have someone coming from South Hadley. I don't feel appropriate to make them drive an hour and 15 minutes to come here for a pre-inspection. So I ask for their reports from another town. And so I have reports from them from South Hadley, from Holyoke, and from Amherst. So I feel comfortable that those 3 inspections have verified the truck is in good shape. So on a handful of situations like that, I don't need to do a pre-inspection, but I still will make every effort to get there on the night of the service. They're also required on the permit application to submit a copy of the inspection report for the commissary. So if they're out of Woo Trucks in Boylston, they send me my report from that place. Or if it's the Worcester Food Hub, the Leominster has one. Or if it's a restaurant, I get the inspection from their restaurant. So that one in South Hadley is a Thai restaurant, so I have the inspection report from their actual brick and mortar restaurant that they would serve from.
And then when they go to get their permit, it's they pay for the 1 day.
So there's 2 types of permits a food truck can get. One is similar to a farmer's market event. It's a temporary food permit that a food truck can get, or a person selling fruit, well, not fruits and vegetables, but whatever they're selling at a farmer's market. Those are good for 14 days. So whenever they apply, I guess there was a little confusion what exact date we would put on our permit, but they're good for 14 days. Food trucks that might come around a little bit more often, that will, be parts of multiple events, such as the Summer Nights, they can get an annual food truck permit, which is good from, well, the entire calendar year, depending on when they apply for it. So if there was, Ullman's, Trombetta's will get yearly permits because they'll go to events in all of our towns. Bird's Nest is another common one that goes to most of the Summer Nights, so he'll normally get an annual one so that he can go to all 4 events.
And then just to clarify also, every food truck should be either getting an annual permit or a permit for every single event that they're hosting in town.
Correct. Unless they're just doing 2 Summer Nights events, then they could go to the Wednesday and the Wednesday, because
Right.
that would be within the 14 days.
Right.
But if they did all 4, might be cheaper to do 2 temporaries, but then they would do 1 temporary for the first 2 weeks of the events, and then technically apply for a new one for the
Right.
next 2 weeks.
And would you
Alright.
re-inspect in that scenario for the second?
Generally, no. If I know the trucks, and if they're tip top, if they're on top of things, you may have heard of Grub Guru. They've been at Summer Nights a few times. They're not my favorite, so I'll inspect them a little bit more. I'll keep a tighter eye on them, just like any other restaurant that may have had some challenges. But if I walk into a food truck and it is spotless and they proudly say, these are my gloves, this is this, and run through the whole thing, they know their
Mhm.
rules and responsibilities, then generally no.
Okay.
But if the second night of summer nights I'm going to because there's a new truck, yes, I'll pop my head into Enzio's or Bird's Nest or other thing like that and just double check.
So do we post the list of approved food trucks on our website?
I don't know. We do
Can we?
not. I don't know that for a fact.
If
But we won't always know until they apply.
Right, so here's where I'm going is, let's say that as part of, youth baseball or whatever, I'm running an event and I want to bring in a food truck. I'd rather go to one, or at least know who's already approved, so I know that they're already done and I don't need to.
So I think the challenge with that, and Barbara, this is more of a question, I think, a procedural question for Barbara, but we really only know ahead of time who has an annual permit. The folks that have, just the 1 day or the 14 consecutive day permits sometimes are not, notifying us until the week before, which is fine.
Yeah,
But I just don't know. Well, number one, the two challenges that I see, number one is getting it on the website so people are notified. And then also, like, we would have to find a way to have the public know that that is something that we are doing. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, you're still gonna get phone calls about who is approved or who has an open permit. But I'm just thinking, like, at least if some people, like, I think the people who run events in town are, what am I trying to say? I think people who run events in town, could just call the office and you can say, here's a list of vendors if you're looking for a vendor, right? Like, it doesn't have to be them seeking the information. You could still get the phone call and say, here's who's already approved. I mean,
For
I guess,
an annual permit.
yeah. I mean, I think the temporary ones, they're gonna have to redo it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And because they're still gonna have to go through the paperwork again.
Well, I think for the annual ones, yeah. How do you know off the top of your head, Barbara or Michael, how many annual permits we have for food trucks?
3 or 4, and 2 of them are ice cream trucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people don't because there's not enough events. The ones that really get the annual ones are the ice cream trucks that
Ice
just
cream.
will park randomly around the parks and so forth.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily in everyone's advantage to do the annual because the annuals, I'm not sure of yours, but say it's 200 or 150, but the temporary is only 25. But just because it's a temporary permit certainly doesn't mean that they haven't been approved in the past. So we certainly
Yeah.
could keep a list of the people that have served before. But as I said, just out of the Woo Trucks commissary in Boylston, there's 45 trucks he has contracted there. And between the Worcester Food Hub, Leominster, and Fitchburg, there's probably 300 or 400. So, we certainly can list who we've used in the past to help the organizations, but there's so many and they're popping up every day. So
Yeah.
they could look at our list and say, oh, you don't have a Middle Eastern one, or you don't have a good barbecue one. Then we still wouldn't guide them necessarily, but we can give them the numbers to the commissaries.
okay. All right. And what if, like, let's say at summer nights or something that, like, an organization wants to buy pizza from Pizzaville and then sell it. I don't know. I don't think that would really happen, but let's say that it did. How does that work in that scenario? Because it's not Pizzaville serving the pizza, it's Chelsea, from, whatever organization.
Happens all the time in where am I? Northborough. The Northborough House of Pizza does it constantly.
Okay.
Honestly, I hate to say this, I know we're being recorded, but there's not a huge risk in pizza in that scenario that you're picking it up. But then we can also go into, it's a civic organization, it's charitable, it's, well, nothing, sorry, those are the same words. We wouldn't really require a permit anyway.
Okay.
We would just ask people, generally, if I know things like that, I'll make sure that it's delivered hot. If you're picking it up, I'd like to make sure that you're picking it up right before the event.
Okay,
If Pizzaville's delivering it, they'll bring it in the warming bags. And then
Yeah.
we'll generally just sort of advise people to make sure that you have gloves, maybe some hand sanitizer, depending if you're serving the pizzas or not. And then depending on the situation, maybe having a little conversation, but if you're gonna leave the pizza on the table for 4 hours, you're not allowed to take it home. We prefer that you throw it away, but we still don't require permits for something.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're buying Chinese food or something like that you're bringing out, then we might have some different conversations. But it's still, for the most part, not necessarily permittable. That's where sort of our own determinations can come into it, and of how much we want to expect from people in terms
Yeah.
of. We still like to keep our hands on it and just be.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Anybody else have any questions about food trucks? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Safna.
just one question, and it probably because I don't understand the procedural part of it a lot. But Michael, about allergens, obviously you're looking at something that's so small, and such a huge risk of cross contamination can occur. Whereas in a restaurant, you can perhaps have two different sections. How are they? Like, is there a label requirement they have to have on the truck saying, we make things here with nuts or anything, so that someone's fully aware, even if they're not ordering something that has nuts in it? How is there some signage that's required?
It's fair enough. It's a very good question. It's the same signage that under any restaurant is required. So if they're making something, they needs to be able to list the ingredients that it has the allergens on it. Their menu should look similar as someone else's menu. Something I couldn't think of an example. But yeah, any restaurant should have it. They'll also have if you have any allergies, please alert. I never remember how to phrase it, but alert your server if you have any allergies. They're all theoretically all trained in it, so they're all going to be just as aware. I have asked that question depending on what it is, but certainly like the Ullman's ice cream truck that may have some nuts. They do everything they can to separate it, just like they would in the restaurants.
Great.
Anything else?
Thank you so much, Michael. That's very
Thanks,
helpful.
Michael.
Oh, no problem at all. You all know how to reach me if you have any other questions.
Great. Thank you.
That's good.
Good to see you all. Have a great day. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye.
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 Okay. Next is 2025 vaccination clinic. Taylor.
So our October vaccine clinic is scheduled for October 8th. We have so last year vaccines in the town, and from what I've heard from many other nurses across the state, were down last year, a significant amount. We returned about 65 vaccines last year, which I've never had to do before. So talking to other nurses, it was similar across the board. So I just kind of adjusted what we ordered this year to reflect the same as last year. And we've put advertisement out already in the senior center. And then I'll get some flyers out in the next few weeks, so people will know about our flu clinic. We'll offer high dose flu in the morning, and then I'll be going to all of the schools to offer it to teachers, daycares for the daycare staff, and staff in the townhouse as well. As far as COVID goes, last year we offered a very small amount of COVID due to cost, and we were able to use all of those vaccines, which was great. This year, I am still kind of in a holding pattern of what we're going to do just because of the uncertainty. DPH, at the end of last week, announced that they're going to be coming out with their own set of recommendations for respiratory vaccines this year. And also at the same time announced that they're going to require insurances in Massachusetts to cover them. There is still a lot of questions about that nursing has. We met yesterday as a group of Massachusetts Association of Public Health Nurses, the board did, which I sit on. And there was a lot of questions that we are bringing back to DPH in regards to that. So as of right now, I am not planning on ordering any COVID vaccine. However, if a lot of those questions are answered and they become more clear, I would be willing to, again, purchase this small amount that we can afford with our budget. So right now it's still kind of, as is for a lot of people, an unknown on what we're going to do for COVID related vaccines this season.
Any questions on that? All right, and just to remind everyone, we did increase our revolving account
Right.
expenditure level, so the finances are not going to inhibit us this year. But with what Taylor said, kind of uncertainty on what's going to be covered, we just don't have an appropriate mechanism to handle it other than going through insurance, so. All right. Letter to DEP and Marlboro for Brock's Industries. So Taylor had shared a draft letter based on our August meeting, just reiterating to DEP and Marlboro Board of Health that, you know, we continue to have concerned residents around the odor in that area, and that we would like to be kept in the loop and you know, are ready for whatever they need from our perspective, but understanding that it's not within our jurisdiction per town council. So does anybody have any comments or questions on that draft letter before Taylor sends that over to DEP and Marlboro? Okay. All right. Thank you,
Do you
Taylor.
want us to mail that, or do you want us to send it via email?
I think you could send it via email.
Okay.
That's fine. And then you have a tracking of it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And if you want, you can copy the residents, the Southborough residents, who
Okay.
are communicating with you on it so that they're aware.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. Designate staff to check tobacco regulation compliance. So as part of our updated tobacco regulations, we have in there that the Board of Health has authorized our Metro West.
No, so actually right now, sorry, right now the regulations state that the board is authorized to make decisions on what products have flavor by smelling them. So we just need in the minutes to reflect that the board authorized agents on behalf of the Board of Health to make those decisions for them. Otherwise, as new products come out, we would have to meet in person, and the board would have to do that sniff test every time a new product came out. So the minutes just would need to reflect that the board is authorizing people to go on behalf of the board. So that's what this is for. And we do not need to change the regulations for that.
But we did update the regulations so that we can take them off the shelf.
Correct.
So I'm gonna, any discussion about that before I make a motion? We've already talked about this. Okay, so I move that we assign a Board of Health members, or one member, our Metro West representative, the health director in Southborough, and health agents of Southborough to the Board of Health gives the authorization to those members to remove products from Southborough stores based on taste and smell tests for flavor.
For flavor. Yeah, thanks.
Second, vote aye. Yep.
Zuluk, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. Summer camps. Chris,
Good morning.
good morning.
I just wanted to give a quick end of season update for summer camps. So happy to report we had 6 operators in town this year. Each of them completing at least a few sessions. We didn't have any really super new operators. Runbirds was pretty new to us, I believe, out of Shrewsbury. But overall, you know, it was a lot of returning players and they were very familiar with the process. I was very pleased with what I saw doing my inspections. Everybody, you know, was following procedures
Yes, how are
well.
you?
Of course, there was injuries through the season
Pretty
and,
good.
it looks like our operators were following procedures, which, reporting it to DPH and us, that sort of thing. And again, like I said, I was very happy with how organized paperwork was and everybody being on top of things. Of course, I think I had mentioned it kind of at the midsummer update. One of my big goal this off season is to kind of get everybody on the same page in terms of what constitutes a summer camp, because, there was some confusion for clinics, and whether or not they constituted a summer camp. So in the off season, I kind of plan on doing a little bit of an educational campaign to our schools, rec department, basically anybody that could potentially kind of be a gateway to having a summer camp in Southborough. But overall, right now, we're just waiting on 2 summer camps to report their final numbers so we can report to the state. And yeah, it's a successful season, and I think we'll be successful next year when we, hopefully can avoid some confusion that happened this summer. But overall, I was pleased with what we saw.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any questions, anything I can help with, just let me know.
Thank you. Okay. Meeting schedule. We pick our October meeting? I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. October 7th, does that still work? Okay. November,
Probably have to go out to the 18th, I think. Because the
Okay.
4th is election day,
yeah,
and then Veterans Day is the next week.
okay. So does 9 AM on the 18th work?
It's after saying yes, he's just muted.
Okay. Liz, I assume that's good.
Yeah, that works for me. Can someone
Okay.
just send me a text message so I put it on my calendar when I get to work?
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, next is public comment. Right, don't see any public comment. All right, so I move we adjourn at 9:27.
Second vote aye.
Look,
And Malinowski's aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye. Thanks, Chris. Bye.